Greetings YouTube, I'm Terran here once again with another episode of Weapon Locker. Today's will be another feature of a budget weapon series, where I look at the lower priced weapons in the game and see if they can compete with the higher priced rivals. In this video, we will be looking at the Terran Assault Rifle, usable by the TR Combat Medic. The description for this weapon reads, many soldiers praise the Terran Assault Rifle's performance in the field, crediting many victories to its incredible hip fire accuracy and high rate of fire. The question is, does it live up to this bold statement? First, let's get the cost out of the way. This weapon will cost you a reasonable 250 certs or 500 SC, meaning it is a fairly easy weapon to afford. Because of the low-ish cert price, I would recommend buying it with certs, as 250 certs, as many will well know, are quite easily obtained these days. This weapon is most at home in a close quarters environment. Down to its high rate of fire, clocking at 800 rounds per minute, the second fastest of the TR assault rifles, only second to the TRV Cycler at 845 rounds per minute. This and its very good hip fire accuracy, being one of the best available to the TR in the assault rifle market, makes it deadly up close. So at first glance, it does live up to the description, in close ranges anyway. When it comes to medium ranges, this weapon is still fairly capable, as it has an acceptable muzzle velocity of 570 meters per second. This is the second lowest muzzle velocity of a TR assault rifle. But the difference isn't huge. The gun being slower is only slower by 10 meters per second. This is the Cycler TRV, as I say, it clocks at 560 meters per second. And the TAR is only 10 meters per second slower than the rest of the Cycler range, these being the T1, T1B and the T1S Cycler weapons. The TAR damage per bullet up to 10 meters is 143. This is the same as all of the other TR assault rifles, apart from the burst firing SABR-13, which hits at 167. The TAR then drops off to 112 at 60 meters. The TAR's reload speed is on the low side. It clocks at 4.11 for a long reload, but with a slightly more impressive 2.96 for a quick, meaning reloads are important with this gun. You need to hit the quick reloads, and it will make a big difference. The TAR struggles most at longer ranges, thanks to its high recoil making it very difficult to land bullets on target, even when burst firing. The best way I find to do is to switch to the semi-automatic firing mode, but even then this weapon's recoil still makes it hard to land bullets on target. This, coupled with a low bullet damage of 112 at range, means generally speaking you'll be easily outclassed if you try to engage targets at range with a TAR. So you may be asking yourself the question, if this weapon is primarily a close quarters weapon and can't handle longer ranges, why not go for a better hip firing SMG, as both the TR SMGs are more accurate when it comes to hip fire than the TAR, and the arm assist has a higher rate of fire also, an amazing 896 rounds per minute, and the Hailstorm has a bigger clip at 60 rounds to the TAR's 40. As the stats suggest, they are both better options in a sole close combat range fight. But as soon as the range surpasses 6 meters, both these weapons' damage starts to drop off, and they already do less damage per bullet at 125 up to 6 meters compared with the TAR's 143 up to 10 meters. Plus, unlike the TR SMGs, the TAR is still adequate at medium ranges, so when choosing between them, it's ultimately a matter of if you know you're going to be in a close range environment. If not, the TAR is the best choice, because it has a greater flexibility up to the medium ranges. Moving on to the loadouts. As usual, I would recommend 2 loadouts for this weapon. One for just up close range, within 10 meters or so, and one for outside of the 10 meters up to 50 meters, which in my opinion is the operational limit. Starting with the close quarters loadout. For the sight, I would recommend the 1x magnification reflex at a cost of 30 certs, as when hip firing is not viable, it is perfect for taking down targets in close ranges. This said, there are other sights available, and this is very much down to your preference. For a barrel attachment, I want the suppressor at a cost of 100 certs. This is so I can operate in more of a stealthy role and get the drop on more enemies. For the rail, I would recommend the advanced laser sight, as it tightens up the cone of fire and makes hip firing this weapon incredibly easy. But if you can't stomach the additional 100 certs for the advanced laser sight, there isn't a huge difference between it and the standard laser sight. Standard laser sight comes in a 100 certs, and the advanced laser sight will set you back a further 100 certs on top. And finally, I run with soft point ammo at a cost of 100 certs, just to make this weapon a bit more deadly in close ranges. So this brings the cost of a weapon with a close range loadout to 430 certs and 500 SC, or 680 certs if you buy it all with certs. For the long range loadout, I would recommend one of the 3.4x magnification scopes at a cost of 30 certs. You could even stick with a 1x reflex sight in fairness, as it's still a good sight when in medium range combat. But again, on the subject of scopes, it is very much down to your preference. For a barrel attachment, I only use one during night fights. When it is night fights, I use a flash suppressor at a cost of 100 certs. This is both to reduce the muzzle flash and make me hard to spot, but it is more importantly to make it easier for me to keep the gun on target, rather than it being obscured by the muzzle flash. For a rail, I go with a forward grip at a cost of 100 certs. This is to help control the gun's bad recoil and make it more usable at medium ranges. And finally, I stick with a soft point ammo at a cost of 100 certs. Some may disagree with me on this, but in my opinion, the reduced muzzle velocity doesn't really impact this weapon at medium ranges, and still means that you've still got a fighting chance when up close. So for a medium range loadout, the cert cost for the attachments will be 330, meaning it will cost you 580 certs if you buy the gun with certs also, or 330 certs and 500 SC if you buy the gun with SC. So in conclusion, this gun's fire rate and hip fire make it an absolute terror in close quarters, but this same rate of fire results in a recoil that is hard to control, meaning this weapon is only viable up to medium range combat. As a result, if you're after a jack of all trades weapon, I'm afraid to say this isn't going to serve you well. But if you're after a weapon that has the ability to engage targets well at close range, but is still able to engage them at medium ranges, the T8R will not disappoint, and it is well worth the CERTS or SC. If you like the video, why not give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. This has been Iron Tyrant, over and out.
Got them on their heels.